Hello, everyone. Welcome to Painless Universal, a conversation with me, Anne Welsh. Today's guest, I'm really inspired to have him. He'll be talking about who owns your happiness. I had to meet him because happiness means so much to so many. We don't stop to think what actually does happiness mean. But the key question is, who owns it? Meet our special guest. Welcome again to Painless Universal, a conversation with me, Anne Welsh. Today, I'm absolutely honored to have brother Yogesh here with me. And not just because of who he is, but what he will be sharing with you guys today is a message of hope, a message so many of us have been confused about the definition of pain and happiness. Who owns your own happiness? Who owns your happiness? Many of us have always questioned that. Do we or do other people? Meet my special guest. Thank you so much, Brother Yogesh, for joining me on this special platform. I'm really, really honored to have you on this, to share your story and to share words of wisdom with others. Before I go into dive into our main topic about who owns your happiness, I wanted you to tell us a little bit about yourself. So people who don't know you, a lot of my viewers are far and wide. They're from all over the world. I don't have viewers just in London. I have viewers all over. And they'll be wondering, who is he? And why are you sharing, why are you giving us this message of hope today?
Yeah, firstly, thank you, Anne, for having me on the show. It's a real honor for me to join you.
Thank you.
And just my background is my parents are from India. I was born in Malawi.
Okay.
And so until I was 7, I was there in Malawi in Africa. And then the family moved to London.
Okay.
And I grew up in London, and then later I lived in Oxford for about 10 years or so. And then around 20 years ago, I moved to Istanbul in Turkey, and that's where I'm based now. And when I was around 8 or 9 years old, then through my parents, I started attending a center for spiritual learning, which is known as the Brahma Kumaris University. And so, since that age, spirituality, meditation, self awareness very much became a part of life. And so, I was going to school, of course, but at the same time, I was attending the center to learn and have a spiritual education. And it continued when I started working and so on.
Yes.
And then the time came when it became possible for me to do this full time. So now I'm based in Istanbul, but traveling from here around different parts of the world,
Wow.
sharing and teaching these ideas, which I think really belong to everyone.
Oh, perfect. That's lovely. As you know, our topic is about who owns your happiness, which is something I'm really inspired to hear from you, what that truly means. I'd like you to describe what you mean by this comments, because everyone would want to know what you truly mean by who owns your happiness.
Yeah. Well, it's really, I do believe that happiness is the thing which drives us most in our lives. The
Mm.
need to be happy, the need to feel happy. But I would say that most of the happiness we experience today is circumstantial happiness, which is feeling good when people are behaving the way I would like them to behave, or when circumstances are the way I wish them to be. And in that situation, my happiness does not belong to me, but it belongs to people and situations and events.
Mm.
And due to that, our happiness goes up and down, rather like a roller coaster.
Mm.
And what I'm saying here is that one's happiness can belong to oneself if I understand how the mind works, if I understand how to take care of my mind, how to have order in my thoughts, and if I know how to see situations.
Yeah, yeah. Mm.
And it's very common for people to say, for example, I feel angry because of you. I feel upset because they didn't do this, or I'm worried because of so and so. But the reality is, that's not the case.
Mm.
The way I feel, it actually is not because of situations, circumstances, and people, but it's very much to do with the way I am seeing situations. And we tend not to spend time to understand how our attitudes and our thoughts are shaping our emotions.
Okay, that is actually very, very true. Because I process that and I see that because I've started trying to control myself. But so many people out there will be thinking when a bad thing happens to them and they're forced to live, something like a bad thing has happened in your life. You're in a bad relationship and you're really upset by that. Who owns that happiness? How do you find the courage to be happy from that bad thing? Who owns that? I don't know how to put that, but I think a lot of people will be thinking in their minds, bad things do happen. I am in a bad relationship. We're in the midst of this COVID right now, bad thing happening. How can you tell someone to own this happiness and find joy amongst this?
Yeah, I think the first thing that I would say to people is
Hmm.
that you can't control the outside.
Okay.
You can't control the situations in the world. You can't even control another person you may be in relationship with.
Yeah.
But when we do try to control those things, then we are giving our happiness away. It's like, giving the remote control of your happiness to another person.
Hmm.
And then, of course, they dictate what they want to press to make you happy, sad, angry, upset.
Yes.
In a way, it's like, saying own your own remote control. And what that means is that I can control my response to the outside.
Hmm.
And so if my mind is consumed by what I don't like
Hmm.
about a person or a situation, then I will generate my own stress, my fear, my worry. But if I'm more concerned with how do I want to deal with this, what attitude is healthy to this situation, and we get busy in upgrading the attitude, then you realize that actually my thoughts and my feelings are my responsibility and my choice.
So is it possible to make a decision like right now and right here that you could control your own happiness? And what characteristics would you need to kind of do that?
Yeah, I say two things really. One is that it's important to build a practice into your life where you're making your mind quiet. You're learning to be still, and for me, I call that meditation. It's part of everyday life.
Mhm.
The second thing is something to do with meaning. And if I can just explain for a moment what I mean by this, it's like events happen, and then with our minds we give meaning to them. And the meaning you give to the event is creating your emotional state. But
Mm.
this happens so quickly that we don't realize we are giving meaning to the events.
Mm.
So what we think is happening is the event is directly creating my emotions. So we say, I'm angry because of this, I'm upset because of that.
Mm.
The thing to do is to ask myself, what meaning do I want to give to what this person said? What
Yeah.
meaning do I choose to give to this situation?
Mm.
So focusing on owning the meaning and not trying to own the event. And I think that makes a big shift in the way you feel in any situation.
I'm listening to what you're saying, and there's so many painful events and experiences, right? And for example, someone with chronic illness, and like even myself, I have a chronic illness, and I've always struggled to find my happiness when I was much younger. I just couldn't find joy or any happiness in anything I did. There were so many painful experiences that I challenged that, and I want to know when I'm in circumstances like that, how do I achieve happiness? Because I just don't feel, I feel that the thing is always repeating itself. The illnesses keep coming back and that. And I was just in a place where I was in a dark place. That, so when I'm in a painful situation, I wish I need someone like yourself who could actually teach me and tell me. And I know it feels there's no, you're just going around in circles. How would you advise someone like myself and many other people with chronic illness the best way we could come out of those painful situations and create our own happiness?
Yeah, certainly. I think we need to take help from friends and others when we are in a dark place.
Mm,
You may not have the strength to bring yourself out of it by yourself.
okay.
Excuse me. And so I think it's important to try and find people or an organization or a group where
Okay.
people do study these things.
Mm,
And even just being in an environment of people who are, let's say, learning to grow spiritually,
yeah.
learning to have personal growth, it encourages you and inspires you. Pardon me.
That's fine. We could pause it for a while.
It's
Yeah.
okay, I'm okay now.
You okay?
Yeah. It's like we need friends to help to lift us out of heavy moods or dark places.
Okay.
Um, Ultimately, I do believe that life very much is a mind game.
Yeah.
And if I'm learning to take care of the mind, if
Mm,
I'm making my mind stronger, I'll be able to deal better with the situation, with the illness. But how to make the mind stronger? For that, we need some support. We need to study. We need to be with others who maybe are a bit further down the road to
yes.
us.
Oh wow. Okay. Um, do you have any particular ways that you advise someone, ways to create and control your own happiness? What would you suggest that the various ways that you would say to someone, these are ways you could do it and to create and control their happiness? So someone who's watching this video now and say, okay, guys, I want to really take some advice from here and say, I practice that in my own life. What
Yeah,
what what 4 steps or 5 or whatever number you could give that would you suggest to that person?
yeah. Well, first thing is really to do with how strong your mind is. And one thing that happens, especially in big cities, is we disrespect the mind. Our lifestyle does not respect the mind.
No.
So the first thing is how to wake up properly, how to spend the first part of the day.
Mm,
And before you engage with life, before you engage with people, before you check your phone, or before you have your breakfast, first engage with the peace that's inside you. And I call that as charging the battery of your soul first thing in the morning.
wow.
In like a little meditation, a little reflective exercise. And they're very simple techniques one can learn.
Do you mean, does it have to be in any particular environment? Could you be lying in bed doing it? Could you just, in any formats? What would you suggest?
What's useful is not to be in the bed, to get
Mm-hmm.
out of the bed, even change your clothes so you're not in that sort of sleeping mode.
Okay.
Go to another room if possible.
Okay.
It's good to sit on a chair so your back is straight.
Oh,
Of course, make sure you're fresh physically and you're feeling awake.
okay.
Even have a cup of tea or coffee if it helps you to feel awake. But the point being that before you start engaging with the world and talking to people and family and so on,
Mm,
first engage with your inner self, engage with the soul, as it were, and spend a few minutes in some silent meditation. There are so many different types you can do.
mm.
And if you do that, if you allow your mind to experience peace first thing in the morning, that's going to support your peace and happiness through the day.
How long roughly? Like 30 minutes, an hour? Like roughly if someone's trying to do this? How long would you suggest?
I would say if somebody's new, then you should start with baby steps.
Mhm.
Don't do too much too quickly. It can even be like, 10 minutes or even 5 minutes. It
Yeah.
depends on your concentration level.
Yeah.
But what tends to happen is as your concentration improves, you start, making it longer and longer because you're enjoying it.
Yes.
And this is I think in the older days and also in more rural areas, people started the day more with being quiet.
Mm.
Now we've got all these machines and all these technological toys
Mm.
that immediately take us away from ourselves.
Yes. Yeah.
So spend some time being with yourself before you be with the world. So that's the first thing.
Mm-hmm.
Second thing I would say is what we call as traffic control for the mind.
Mm.
Yeah, so imagine the thoughts in your mind are like the cars in the street. And the question arises, how is the traffic up here? Are
Yes.
your thoughts flowing? Are they orderly? Is it organized? Is it coordinated? Or is there like a traffic jam in the head with my thoughts going in all different
Mm.
directions?
Mm-hmm.
So traffic control is like when you try and stop just for 2 or 3 minutes,
Yeah.
once mid-morning, once mid-afternoon,
Mm.
and you just sort of, stop what you're doing if you can, and again, just visit that silent space, that quiet space inside you,
Mm.
which we all have actually. And what that does, it breaks the mind's habit of speeding.
Okay.
When the mind is speeding, we waste so many thoughts. We overthink.
Yes.
And when you overthink, the mind gets tired, and then the patience level goes down, the tolerance level goes down, we get irritated, we get
Mm.
frustrated. So these two, and I can add just one more, if
Okay.
I may.
Mm-hmm.
And that's at the end of the day, how to finish the day properly. Now, think, for example, of having a computer.
Mm.
Now, how would you turn off your computer at the end of the day? You wouldn't just yank the plug out of the
No.
wall.
Oh wow. Oh yeah, that's true.
No, but you have to log off, you have to sign out,
Mm.
switch off. There are steps involved. And it's the same with shutting down the mind at the end of the day. That when you go to sleep, then one thing to do, and I was told this when I was a kid, and I still find it useful, is you just try and think of the whole of life as a theater, as a huge theater performance.
Mm.
And it's like you're just talking to yourself in your mind that whatever happened today, I may have done something amazing, I may have done something very silly, I may have been criticized, I may have been praised.
Mm.
Whatever happened today, for today, the curtain is closed. Today's drama, today's theater is over.
Mm.
And you just sort of multiply, everything by zero.
Mm.
You just remove the thoughts of the day from the mind, allow the mind to be light, and then you go to sleep. I
Wow.
find these are ways by which you can take better care of the energy of the mind through the day,
Mm.
which will help you to maintain your happiness and make it solid.
Yes.
So
Wow.
there's more to say, but let me just
No,
pause.
no, no. Honestly, no. I'm really enjoying it because I think we live in a world today where, if not for the COVID-19, I think we just go, 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 go. And I think in that process, we all lost sense of who we were. We just can't, I just, for me personally, I didn't even know who I was anymore. Was I this person or was I didn't even know if I had a happiness anymore. My mood was just numb. And I think so many people out of this COVID-19 will now start reflecting. What advice would you give to people who are reflecting on the new world after COVID and happiness? how would that now be defined? Because what would you tell them? What would you tell us to now start doing now differently than what we've been doing before, which was obviously mostly wrong, because you now see a lot of cases on mental health, people, so many mental health cases coming up right now. And that a lot of that is caused by when your mental health, because you obviously are not happy about something in your life. So with the whole COVID, it's giving us time to reflect. But I need someone like you, my brother, to give us some advice on the new world and how we're going to create this happiness in this new world, what we should do and what we should be expecting to receive from this new world, and to keep it consistent. So we're not just one day we're like that, next day we're like that. I don't know if that question is clear, but that's,
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah.
mm,
Well, I believe in the old world, which is
mhm,
only a few months ago, of course.
yeah.
That, we gave a lot of attention to improving the things outside of us.
Mm,
Technology is amazing. Communication, healthcare, transportation. I mean, these things are amazing.
yes.
But what was missing is people consciously and actively paying attention to improving themselves mentally, emotionally, spiritually.
Mm,
And I think what I've found in these last few weeks of COVID is people who have not been paying attention to knowing how to manage their emotions,
mm,
they've been having a hard time because the usual escape routes when you feel bad, to go to a restaurant or a cinema or a cafe, those routes were blocked. And so people were faced with their emotions. And if they hadn't learned the skills of how to manage your emotions or moods, then anger, stress, and further problems.
yeah,
People who already had built into their lives methods of how to calm yourself down, how to handle your mind,
yeah,
those skills help them to get through the COVID situation.
yes.
So I would say in the post COVID world, what's important is to bring to the top of the priority list taking care of the mind, to bring mind care to the very top of the priority list. And when you do that, I believe that everything improves your relationship with yourself, how
Mm,
you feel about yourself, your relationships with other people,
that's
how you perform at work, how you handle situations. And in a simple phrase, I may say, being before doing.
true. Wow.
You know?
Yes. Good.
Means learn to be at peace, learn to be happy, learn to be loving before you think of the things you have to do. And what's happened in the times before COVID
Mm,
is we've put the cart before the horse. We got so busy doing life,
mm,
the cart, we forgot there's a horse, the mind, which is supposed to pull it.
yes.
But now it's time to feed the horse. It's time to take care of the horse. And if that's strong and healthy, then we're able to manage life much better.
Wow. I would never have thought of it this way. And, I'm just really grateful that you shared that part, that point, especially because there's so much anguish and people not knowing how to deal with this. And I speak to so many people, and everyone has this blockage and fear about the COVID and how they're going to go into this new world, about their own happiness, how to deal with this. And this what you've just said have just summarized that until we really look after our mind and take care of that, the rest is just we just, it would go along, but we need to really focus on that. I really love that. Another thing is that in a true summary, if you're to tell someone out there, answer the question, who owns your happiness? How would you summarize that?
Well, yeah, for me, the answer, for me, the answer has become over the years. Of course, I'm still learning, but the answer should be, and the answer I think we all should move towards is, I should be the owner of my happiness. I should be the author of my own happiness.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, as I'd mentioned earlier, my first responsibility is my peace of mind and my happiness.
Mm,
And it's like one has to make a contract with the self that my peace of mind and my happiness are my personal property, full stop,
mm.
non-negotiable.
Yeah, that's correct.
But I have to pay attention to maintaining that, even when someone may be in front of you who's irritating or something doesn't work out the way you want it to work out.
Yes.
And it's like saying I can't control what life brings to me, but I can control how I choose to receive it.
Mm,
Usually people focus on what life is bringing to me and they say, why is this happening to me? And what have I done to deserve that? Or I don't deserve this. Rather than focusing on what life is bringing to me, let me pay more attention to how do I choose to receive this?
yes.
And the way I choose to receive is going to influence the way I feel and ultimately my emotional state as well.
Wow. No, I'm so honored that you were able to take your time out. If people want to get in touch with you, um, is there a website that they could reach, or is there any ways that people could reach out to you? Because I think some people might listen to this and want to know more and probably want one-on-one consultation with yourself. Is there a way that can you share the ways people could communicate with you on this matter?
Yeah, what I could do is I could give my email
Okay.
address, and then depending on where people are contacting me from, I can direct them to my colleagues in different parts of the world.
Okay. So I
Um,
put the email at the underneath the screen at the end of this then.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, because I know some people would listen to this and just feel absolutely this is where they need to start their new process. This is what they need to listen to. And I think you have just summarized that for me, especially just listening to your words this morning has made me really touch. I know you're from Malawi. In Africa, we see you're not originally from Malawi, but you've lived there. In Africa, we have a definitely different view on happiness. What would you summarize as the two difference? I know I just thought about this because I'm also African myself, and when I speak happiness, people it's very varied from the way we do it here in the UK and the way it's done in Africa. I don't know if you could touch on that just a little bit because it just came to my mind and I just remembered that we have colleagues out there in Africa who'll be watching this extensively. What message would you give to them in their own definition of their own happiness?
Oh, it's an amazing question. um, yeah, I would say that of course happiness can be colored culturally depending on where you are and geography and so on.
Mhm,
But if I may take it sort of one step even behind that,
mhm,
that although we have these labels of the African or British or Indian or all of these, but I believe behind all of that,
mhm.
behind all these labels, we are spiritual beings.
Yes.
And what I'm interested in and what I think is healthy for the long term is to have spiritual happiness, which is beyond culture and beyond race and beyond religion and beyond even age. And if I see myself as the spirit, the spiritual being or spiritual energy, then my happiness will become long lasting.
Okay. Yes.
And so I know in different places in the world, happiness is expressed differently.
Yes.
Um, but I think there's always a balance to be struck between my relationship with myself
Mm-hmm.
and my relationship with others. And let me be happy with if I have to be alone, but
Mm-hmm.
also let me be happy if I have to be with other people. So my happiness should be independent of whether I'm with people or
Mm-hmm.
whether I happen to be by myself.
Oh wow. Thank you so much, Brother Yogesh, on this amazing conversation about who owns your happiness. I'm sure we'll be crossing paths again, probably doing more follow-up conversation with yourself, because what you've really thought this morning is truly inspirational and a game changer, especially with COVID-19 and everything, the new world we're going into. So many people will need this message today because they need this message of how to go into this world with a positive mindset, that brings back that they own their own happiness. I am truly delighted to have you. And I really hope we stay in touch so we could keep this dialogue going, because I don't think it's just part one. I think there's so many other levels to it that we have to get into. And I would love to have you on this platform to keep sharing these messages.
Yeah, thanks to you, and it's been really very, very pleasant to be on this interview with you. It's been very easy and very enjoyable. So I have a big thanks to you.
Thank you. And I look forward to catching up with you soon. Thank you, and wishing you a great day. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.